Podcast starts now. Hello, all, and welcome.
Hello.
We are at a rushed pace because,
Well, because I was late. Just say it. You're so desperate to call me out first thing on mic. Sorry.
Well,
guess what? I have things to do. I was in a hurry. It wasn't my fault. It was a train.
Okay, which is it? Was it the train or did you have things to do?
Well, I guess it's both because I had things to do, which is why I didn't give myself a buffer, and then the train made me even more late. And so I'll own up to that.
Damn.
But, you know, it's not my fault Kathy Hochul can't get her cute little butt on her train seat to make the subways work.
Wow.
I want her driving the train.
Get her in the seat and make her drive the damn train. George, how do you feel when you're running late? How does that process for you?
I actually today caught myself, I was on the train and I caught myself out loud saying, "Come on." And I was like, damn, when did I become this guy?
Yeah, that's fun though. Because I love watching someone who is insane and you're like, well, that could never be me. And then you get a little peek at how it could be you and you're like, wow, okay. So it's just circumstance.
No, I would say that I really have been, I felt very liberated to be publicly insane recently in a way that actually has been, I think, overall good for me. Because I have a freelance thing where I'm going into Penn Station 3 days a week, and actually the things you see around there are so just diverse, for lack of a better word, just a diverse array of behaviors. I think I saw someone wearing, and I'm not saying this in like a problematic way, like, oh my God, look at what New York has become. I'm talking about like just a person wearing shoes that have Beanie Babies attached to them as a fashion statement. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You're seeing there's a lot to take in.
Yes, there's a lot to take in.
I mean, you know how I feel. I feel that when you are late, sorry, keep going. Am I interrupting you?
No, I'm just saying that because I feel myself as part of this, like, I would say cast of, it's almost like I'm in a theater company where everyone is doing clowning or something. That's what it feels like to be in the Penn Station community. And so I have felt empowered to be my most kind of crazy, authentic self because everyone around me is also being crazy.
Yeah, it's the freaks, the weirdos of Penn Station. And
I actually do think, they say, oh, Times Square has changed. Guess what? Go to Penn Station because the things you see outside the Just Salad, would make that Maggie Gyllenhaal show about Times Square look like fucking Sesame Street.
Yeah, I mean, Dime Square is over. It's all about Penn Station.
Oh, wait, Times Square is over. It's all about Penn Station.
That's where all of the great artists are. I mean, people are experimenting in ways that people can't even imagine.
It really is incredible. We talked last episode about how there's a Roberta's in Penn Station.
And we thought of that as a bad sign. And we should have seen that as a symbol.
It's actually a flowering of, the culinary arts are just as fundamental as the podcasting and improv arts. I mean, the things that I'm telling you, this is the future of New York is Penn Station.
Stamp of approval. I do think losing your mind is so much more reasonable in New York because it's not fair. You can't lose your mind while you're driving a car here because then you're just running into things.
But you can lose your mind actually when you're in the back of an Uber.
Oh, now that's true.
I think you can be very much like there's this ostentatious way that LA people can, for example, be on speakerphone in the back of an Uber and be like cursing and name dropping while this poor man is driving them to, the Getty Museum so they can jump off.
Yeah, no, that's true. And I actually am finding it fun to be on speakerphone in the car, like while I'm driving and be like, and just like have like an important conversation, but be like, oh, what the fuck? Like just yell at a car as it goes by. I'm like, now this paints a picture.
I actually am, again, this is another part of my new Penn Station vibe. I love being on speakerphone in public. Something that I used to judge others for doing. I'm actually very close, and I'm not even kidding, to starting to listen to music and podcasts on speakerphone on the train. I think I'm a few weeks away from that.
Well, I do think there's something where it's like, if you can't beat them, join them. Like you can get mad at people being really loud and weird, or you can just be really loud and weird. This is the same seats reclining on the plane. Just everyone recline your seat. No one's mad anymore.
Yeah. No, I actually, so much of our podcast has always been reclaiming normal. We're like, can everyone just be normal?
Yeah.
And I think, not to make any grand statements, but I'm like, are we moving away from that? Are we officially endorsing not being normal?
Well, it's an election year. Should we bring in our guest?
I think we should bring in our guest.
Well, what is there to say about our guest? He is incredible to die for. We're thrilled and honored. And he has a new special out right now called The Path of Most Resistance. I nailed that. Give it up for James Adomian. Woo!
Thank you. Thank you, Sam. Thank you, George.
James, as white gay men in comedy, we could never do anything if it wasn't for the path that you trailblazed.
Well, you have to flip some pun. And that was apparent. There was a list of things. There was like wet gay. Ultimately, most of them involved me being like sloppy or broken. And this was the one where it was like, well, no, it just sounds like it's kind of complaining that no one would give me a special for. So now so I was like, I went with the pun of least offense.
I really like the pun, and I think it's actually really difficult to pull off a pun, and it's one that I haven't heard before, and I think it works on multiple levels. Mm-hmm. Whereas I thought of one the other day that I was like, this would be a really good fake, and I'm sure someone has used it, but okay, tour de farce.
Oh my God.
My comedy special, Tour de Farce?
That's very like late career. Like you've been extremely famous, and then people are like don't really care about you anymore. But then you have this one special called Tour de Farce.
A big comeback.
Well, it's Bill Maher. Yeah.
It's Bill Maher coded. Absolutely.
Tour de Farce, and it's him in like a spotlight looking up.
Yes, exactly.
That's like all of his posters.
No,
we're like, am I the only one that gets it?
There really is the Bill Maher don't look up in your photo shoot challenge. And he fails it every single time.
Tour de Farce is very religious, which is his documentary about how he's the first person to discover that religion is bad.
Yeah.
It also sounds like the bull quote on a Broadway show poster in the subway station. It's a tour de farce.
Totally. Spam-A-Lot would have that.
Spam-A-Lot.
Yeah.
Talk about another good pun. Spam-A-Lot.
Well, not to be a bitch, but StraightioLab is also a pun.
That's true.
You know what? I'm done.
Well, he's walking.
Damn. Aren't you so glad, Sam, that we didn't end up going with straighter things, our other option?
Was it going to be straighter things?
It was definitely on the mood board, I would say.
The first episode was sort of us being like, welcome to, I don't know what this is called yet. And then we were sort of, there was straighter things, there was StraightioLab. There were like a few other options that I can't
Straightiology.
Straightiology department.
Yeah.
Straightiation sickness.
Straightiation sickness. Yeah, eventually we settled on this one. Naming things is hard.
It is, and I turned my phone off, but I keep a list of this because I'm not like a title factory, but sometimes I'll be, walking around and a pine cone falls on me or whatever, and I'll go, oh, there's a title there.
Wait, James, I do that too. I literally have a notes app that's just titles.
Titles, yeah.
And it's not even for something specific. Like some of them are more dramatic. Some of them would work for like a play versus a special versus something else. But it's literally I'm like, do we want to give away our titles?
I don't want to give them away because people will steal them and make more money off of it than I would have.
Of course.
But titles and names. Comedy. A comedy club. I thought of like a tough guy comedy club called the Laugh Bully.
Ooh.
Okay, let's see. The Final Hurdle. No, that's not a good one.
What was that? Was that a special? Was that a book? What was that supposed to be?
No, I was thinking of good names for like a black comedy play, almost like a sort of. Imagine like a dinner party that goes wrong and then everyone kills each other. I wanted to be like almost like really dramatic, but in like a campy way. Like another one I had was The Endless Drama of Loss.
As a comedy special?
Well, that's no, as like a play.
Oh, a play.
Like a comedic satire play.
I was thinking of one that almost used for what became Path of Most Resistance. Another one was high in contention was outlier as 2 words.
Oh, yeah. That's good.
You know?
It's almost how...
And then you're like,
I remember when...
I'm not telling it truthfully.
Yeah.
And I'm out of the closet.
They when I was in college, the LGBT group for the law school was called Outlaw.
Oh, wow.
That's not bad.
That's actually very good.
I hope they did like publicity photos where they dressed like Willie Nelson and Johnny Cash from the 70s.
Well, you know how gay guys in law schools are always doing photo shoots to promote the student group.
That's the first thing I think of. Well, what would their publicity photo be?
That is sort of like, were there enough gay guys in law school to have a group that needed to unionize?
Well, first of all, it wasn't just gay guys. I know I just said gay guys, but it was sort of the entire LGBTQ plus community.
Okay.
Yeah, there were like queer people in
I can't believe you just pulled out the rug. You literally set me up to fail for that one. You're like, this group of gay guys, and I'm like, gay guys?
But by the way,
like,
even if
hello.
it was just gay guys, do you not think 50% of every law school class is gay guys?
Well, I just feel like... But when you have 50%, then it's like, well, then you don't need a group. Like, then it's like
okay,
almost
now
a hate
you're
group.
flipping the script.
If we're not fighting a little bit, we're not doing Straighio.
Yeah, that's true.
So interview.
Is it like that for other postgraduate programs, or is it law school more than anything?
I know there's definitely a business school one. Oh God, it's like out. Everything is like out for business, like out to like stand out.
Stock ouchins. No. Hold on.
Well, the word out is like the most inclusive and pun flexible word, because everything else you're focusing on one thing. Like even anything around like same sex, it's like, well, what about bisexuals?
Right.
So it has to be,
Oh, at least you're out. It's a hook. It's a flexible hook.
And
although
we're not going to define what out is.
Yeah. I've always thought we need to reclaim being closeted. We've talked about this before.
Yeah.
Like,
well,
people should be like, yeah, I'm the first closeted Oscar winner.
I used to do a bit like that where I was like, I'm a closeted comedian. I'm a closeted American.
I think that's literally why it was in my mind. Didn't you post it recently?
I probably did. Where it's like I'm a closeted comic.
Yeah.
A guy said, "I want to suck your dick." I said, well, "Never mind what I said. The point is, words were exchanged." Talking about, I'm a closeted comic. Talking about what may or may not have happened.
I mean, that is like sort of. Don't you think that is sort of the affect of like the Democratic Party? It's like being very confidently like acting like you're making a really grand pronouncement, but then not quite saying anything.
Yeah.
Bill Clinton was the best at that when his masterful speech where he was like, I'm aware of what you have said.
Yeah. Or like my favorite is "Let me be clear." Like just saying "Let me be clear" and then being the least clear anyone has ever been.
Let me be clear. Okay. That's an Obama.
That's the Obama.
Well, it is, but it's now everywhere.
I saw Malia Obama at a restaurant.
Oh my God. First of all, she's going by Malia Ann.
Oh, sorry. I saw Malia Ann at a restaurant.
That's her name? Malia
Well,
Ann?
she premiered a short at Sundance and didn't want, I think wanted to reinvent herself. And so I think it's directed by Malia Ann.
Oh, okay. I'll take it. It was juicy. I was sort of like, it was one of those celebs where it's like not a celeb and you're like, wait, why do I know this person? And you're like, God, only in LA. And it's like, well, not really. This is
not
a weird
really.
like actually not in LA.
She also spends a lot of time in Penn Station.
Yeah. She's sort of the mayor of Penn Station.
Well, that's where she's practicing her politics.
That's right. Exactly.
I loved that. I loved hearing about that, by the way, being publicly outside or like having an interior private life where you have to be in a shared space because it's New York.
Yeah. No, there is something about how, like, after so many years here, I'm finally like, oh, I see what the way to do this, like, the way out of the constant anxiety you feel is to just, like, allow yourself to be part of the part of the cast. You can't be seeing yourself as like, oh, I am the protagonist and everyone else is trying to ruin my day. You have to just be part of the wave.
This is the lesson of many great works of art, including the TV show The Prisoner from the 1960s, where he's it's the British TV show where he's a spy who resigns from MI6 and then he ends up knocked out and he wakes up in this prison island where it's a very comfortable prison basically, and you can't get out. And then the whole series is him trying to escape or like figure out who has him, because he doesn't know if it's the British or the Russians. He doesn't know which side has kidnapped him because they won't say. And then he realizes, and by the end of it, he's the only way out is to become the guy in charge of the place.
Oh, interesting.
Huh.
So
I guess I haven't tried to be in charge of the Penn Station community. I've only succumbed to being a member of it, you know. But maybe the next step is kind of unseating Malia Ann as the empress of Penn Station.
Where am I? You're in Penn Station. Who are you? You are number 6.
George, I have a question. Do you feel comfortable dressing horribly when you like go for a walk around your neighborhood? Like sweatpants?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Definitely.
Because when people aren't comfortable looking bad around their own neighborhood, that really stresses me out. Because that to
when
me,
they're not, you feel uncomfortable for them.
I feel uncomfortable for them because I'm like, this must be hard. Like, how do you feel dressing like shit outside of your apartment?
That's what I did today. This is how I came to a podcast like this. This is the look. This is the look, everybody. I'm wet. I'm wet when it's cold.
Wet when it's cold.
Sweating constantly.
Sweating.
Yeah. Yes.
Wet when it's cold.
It's very apparent in the special. My cousin made fun of me and called it Path of Moist Resistance because there's the
Okay,
sweat.
well that's good.
No, that's really good.
Is, yeah, right? Yeah, it's true. I wish you were here 6 months ago. It's this spreading sweat pattern that just basically takes over the whole shirt by the end, and it looks like a parasite has taken over the organism, and now it's like.
But don't you think that's so classic, like Robin Williams? Like that?
Yeah, it's like
that's
raw.
so classic comedy special.
So maybe that's it. When people are like, "You reminded me of Robin Williams," they're not saying you were funny. They're saying you look like a sweaty fucking hairy mess up there. So now you've defeated this compliment for me that I get all the time.
No, it's so raw. It's just you're so focused on the comedy, you know?
Sure, yes, but also
I mean, I also think I like seeing effort on the stage. I really don't like. I mean, whatever. I know many people are amazing deadpan comedians, and I would never disparage them.
Sure,
that's not what I'm saying. But to see someone actually be like,
if you did, it would probably work.
To see someone like truly almost die on stage because of how much effort they're putting into something, that's what it's all about.
Yeah, I've always liked, as far as performers who influenced me, I've always been attracted to the sort of like Eddie Pepitone, Todd Glass angle, where it's
totally
you're all over the place.
Yeah, I go back and forth. I really I feel sort of binary in my approach to comedy, where sometimes I'm being like either the loudest and like literally doing songs and running around, or I'm like just sort of being normal and quiet, and I'm like, I wish I could be somewhere in the middle.
Do you ever recalibrate the I'm just talking shop now, we can turn the mics off and turn the podcast back on in like 5 minutes. Do you ever recalibrate your set for like if you're like, this audience is quiet, so I'm gonna be quiet, or like these guys are drunk, I'm gonna like I'm gonna play to it? I sure as hell do.
You do?
I definitely. I have an easier time with the latter. Like if I'm noticing an audience being rowdy, I'm like, great, like let's play. Like I can talk to them. I can like go out. I can go on a tangent. I do have more of a difficult time when I notice they're quiet, because what am I going to do? Like become quiet myself?
I think when they're quiet, I'm like, okay, I'm just going to riff. Because I'm almost like, I'm not going to tell you jokes, because if you're not going to respond to them, then that's okay.
I do this thing that, and I'm just, this is something that doesn't work, and I'm not going to stop doing it. So it's this technique where I will just like lay back and take all the energy down half or even more and just act like I'm sort of like, oh, I'm just kind of coming up with this and like whatever and like, oh, you like that? Oh, what do you know? Maybe that works. But they're like killer bits that really work in other audiences, but I'm just like soft selling it, and then they're like, oh, he actually is funny. Oh, okay. Now, again, this has never worked.
It doesn't work.
I just don't have any other ideas.
You know what? I kind of do this with people. I'm learning is like when I think people are really cool and I have to like talk to them, I'll be really like, I'll try. Like it's something I can't stop. Where I'll be like, yeah, I'm like doing this thing, and it's like and it's like it's not flattering. They don't like it. It seems like I'm not being warm, and yet I can't not do it.
How often do you have someone that grabs you by your lapels and goes, you got nothing to be ashamed of. You're a child of God. And your art it matters.
I need that every single day.
Do you Sam, would you say you have social anxiety?
I don't. Well, maybe. I think everyone has it to an extent. I don't think it's part of my identity.
No, I don't think you're like, oh God, awkward person in the corner.
I'm not Blurg. That's for damn sure.
I don't know Blurg. Yeah. What's Blurg?
Blurg is our shorthand for sort of, someone's like, I guess I'm an adult. Blurg.
Oh, I guess this is normal now.
Okay,
I guess this is normal now, so that's a thing.
So we call that Blurg.
You made up a thing for it. That's so great.
I made up a thing. Oh, I guess now that's a thing.
Oh, wow. That is like a particular... Oh, that's a malfunction.
It's a type that also... I hate to speak in generational platitudes, but it's also a type that's very like elder millennial. Like that defined elder millennial humor is... So I guess that's a thing.
Yeah, but it's almost gone out of style in a way where I like miss it. Like I sometimes I'm like, damn, who's gonna bring it back?
We can't go back.
It sounds like the kind of people that ran Twitter for like 7 years.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. No, that's exactly what it is. And I think that's why maybe we feel a connection to it, because that was in many ways like, I don't want to say we came of age during that era, because I think we're a little too old for that, but I think we like... Our sense of humor thrived in the sort of golden era of Twitter.
Right.
So I'm not ready to let go of it completely, even though it now is so embarrassing to me.
Can you imagine a person like that in real life where they go into a coffee shop and they're like, this.
Yeah.
This is everything.
Yeah.
So I guess we're paying this now?
Wait, my favorite is...
Wait, but I actually should say that when, with the price of these coffees in Los Angeles, I swear. I see a $7 and I'm like, I guess we're paying this now?
You should be an elder millennial Blurg.
I'm Blurg.
I heard something
Embrace
for the
your
first
destiny.
time.
To criticize the Blurg is merely to play at level 1. One must become the king of the Blurg.
I'm self-hating Blurg.
That's literally me in Penn Station is becoming king of the Blurg. The other day I heard you're not a real person for the first time in a while. Like, you are not a real person. And I was like,
I love that.
Why am I like this?
Why am I like this?
That's funny. Okay,
well, my favorite, the gay guy specific version of this, which I always think is fun, is when someone will post like a photo of them truly in like jeans and a t-shirt, but then they'll be like, not me serving Disney Pixar dad.
Well, that one sucks. But George, I have to say something. Last week when I was dressed as a NASCAR driver, famously, I wore a shirt that had the word, it was a Wrangler shirt and had the word Wrangler all over it. And I wore like cowboy boot. I was like kind of in costume, but it was like what I was wearing for the day. I'm experimenting.
And were you playing, or you're just saying you looked like a NASCAR?
Looked like a NASCAR driver, and I was just sort of going about my day dressed as a NASCAR driver. And I felt like I was like, so, okay. I did get called out when I left. Like, because one, I posted a picture and I was like, I look like a NASCAR driver, and someone commented like, oh, gay guy wears button down and says like, I'm serving mama. And I was like, that's not it. I do look weird. Like, I got called out for doing the Pixar dad thing.
I have to say, Sam, your like insistence that you looked so crazy was so funny to like you just have to, like it's definitely like it's like an extension of your existing vibe, which is sort of playing with signifiers of Americana, if you will. Like,
but George, someone stopped me on the way into the gym and said, like, looked me up and down and was like, excuse me, are you some kind of horseman? And like, he was like shocked and confused. And this was like a 50-something guy who was like leaving the gym.
He meant like that you work with horses.
He literally was like
a centaur.
He was literally like, do you work with horses? And I was like,
because I'm sorry, in that situation, he is the weird one. Like, you are a gay guy commenting on Western aesthetics, going to the gym, and he is asking you if you work with horses.
Excuse me, sir. I don't want to step on any hooves, but are you a horseman? Because I am.
But
I would love to go riding with you sometime.
I actually wish he was hitting on me. That would have been amazing.
That's funny. That's what the gay sex is like in the gym sauna, but way out in horse country, like in Chatsworth or the north part of Burbank. Are you?
Yeah, maybe horseman is a.
Are you high on the saddle?
Yeah, horseman is friend of Dorothy.
Yeah, exactly.
We should lasso sometime.
Should we do our first segment?
I don't serve. I'm sorry. I'm going to say this. I don't serve looks any better. I'm a terrible server. I was fired from all those jobs when I was younger, and so like I got fired one time because day 2 I spilled hot coffee on an old man.
Oh
no.
It didn't injure him, but it made him angry. And so like that's the kind of looks that I'm serving. Like disastrously, like you no longer work at Quiznos kind of thing.
Have you ever been like, you know what? Like, have you ever been like, I'm doing a makeover on myself, and then been like, never mind? Like,
wow.
Yeah, of course I have.
I want to know what the journeys are.
Well, I mean, where it's like, I play with mustaches and eyeshadow and hairstyles, and I'm like, oh wait, but I have to play a character in 5 days, so I always have to look like neutral nothing.
Right.
I can't.
You're playing with
myself.
eyeshadow?
I do sometimes. I mean, yeah.
Ooh,
I mean, I used to.
I didn't know that.
Really?
A long time ago, but I used to. But I have to look. I can't do certain things because I've got to show up and be some idiot.
Because you're a blank slate.
Yeah, it's going to be a blank slate. I'm locked into being a blank fucking slate with all these stupid characters that I still do.
They're not stupid.
Well,
James, don't say that about
James,
yourself. They're not
seriously.
stupid.
I would love to grow a permanent beard and become a ring guy.
Oh,
Have lots of rings, and be one of those people. And there's not many gays like this, but I want to be the one. I want to be like the one in my circle where it's like, how you doing? Let me tell you something about how radio business works. Like a ring guy who gives advice.
yeah.
No, you're absolutely right. I know exactly what you're talking about. And as you get older, as I've gotten older, certainly the ring calls to you in a way. Like
Yes.
you are like all these things that as a 23-year-old, 24-year-old, there's such signifiers of like almost like creepy older gay guy. But then as you age into it, you're like, I gotta buy rings. I have
They really
to
do call.
One thing that happens, because this happens where people go, oh, that's your look. Why are you trying to look like an aging hipster? And it's like, no, there's very few things that won't make me look like an aging hipster. I have to wear the glasses, and so it's like I'm locked in. And you realize that as you get older, you're not deciding things. There's like a funnel that you're falling into slowly.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And you're like, what side of it am I going to slide down?
Yeah. I think part of my Western thing is like just seeing like a reset, like being like, what if I start fresh? What if I'm new?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you could be openly gay too. I mean, I moved out here to Nevada with my husband a couple of years ago. We like the land, privacy, loud sex.
James, that's my literal fantasy.
You mean like a cartoon improvised character?
Literally.
Okay, you like Nevada Horseman.
Nevada Horseman is like up there. That's real high up there.
I mean, I do think what I'm waiting for, Sam, is like the final step of this transformation is cowboy hat daily. Like before leaving the home, you put on a cowboy hat.
Well, it's gotta be a long transition, because if you go too quick, people are going to call me out, and I'm going to get online hatred. So I have to move slowly.
I think maybe what really made you so aware of your horse outfit is, rather than having like one horse accent, you did three. It was like shirt, belt, and cowboy boots.
Yeah. I mean, I really was feeling confident after, because I was like, oh, it was stupid. You know, when you're trying a new outfit, of course, you're self-conscious at first. But then when that man stopped dead in his tracks, I was like, I was right to be self-conscious.
Now, was he doing like that stolen valor?
I honestly couldn't understand the tone.
You call your equine man?
Because the moment I walked in, he was like taken aback and like gave me the up and down in a way that like, I think, but he didn't say it angrily. He said it with curiosity. Like maybe he had like wanted to meet a cowboy his whole life, and like I was gonna be that for him.
Where he was like, yeah, the fashion has finally twisted my direction.
Yeah. And when I had to tell this man, like, no, I'm just dressing for fun, like that really hurt. That really didn't feel good.
No, I'm actually just dressing to be like a lunatic, like a weird guy.
Sam, I wish we could do this social interaction over again. He's the one being weird for asking you if you're a horseman. Like, you should have just responded like, what are you, a questions man? And then just walked right into the gym.
Bitch. And then he'd say, well, that horseman was gay.
Yeah.
Well, by gone? That horseman was damn a bitchy gay guy.
Yeah.
Okay, wait, we need to do our first segment so that we can get into our topic. So James, where is mine? James, our first segment is called Straight Shooters, and in this segment, we test your familiarity with and complicity in straight culture by asking you a series of rapid-fire questions where you have to choose this thing or this other thing. And the one rule is you can't ask any follow-up questions about how it works, and if you do, we will yell at you. Sam, go.
Okay. James, FKA Twigs or MGMT's Kids?
Kids.
Whoa.
James, Katy Perry flops again, or doing a Hail Mary and then saying Amen?
Hail Mary, Amen.
Okay, James, Robert Mapplethorpe or Thorin Oakenshield?
Mapplethorpe.
Objects in mirror are closer than they appear, or making an error that's detrimental to your career?
Making an error that's detrimental to your career.
Okay, a steak at Carbone or a hey on your car phone?
A steak at Carbone.
Egg on my face or begging for grace?
Begging for grace.
Okay, Scientology or I have got to pee?
Scientology.
The Iron Lady, the Fearless Girl, or the Wonder Woman?
Oh.
The Iron Lady.
Iron Lady.
Wow.
Amazing. George, what would you rate James's performance?
I think that was a perfect... I mean, I don't know. Am I being too... I was about to say that was a perfect performance, but now I'm trying to think, was there anything I would have done differently?
Can I say that I just love the Iron Lady as Margaret Thatcher, I believe.
Of course.
I love that was her nickname, that someone was like, she's the Iron Lady. And it was a compliment. No one saw it as a terrible insult.
Yeah.
She's a lady made of iron?
Was it supposed to be a compliment?
Well, it's like she's...
Strong.
It's like she's strong.
Strong.
Yeah. It sounds like she was married to the Iron Sheik.
Yeah, I get it. I get Iron Lady confused with Iron Curtain.
Well, right. That's what, for modesty, she would do her changing behind an iron curtain.
She would change behind an iron curtain.
In her iron bedroom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like the Hershey's ad with the chocolate cow. Everything was kind of iron in her world.
Oh, yes, of course. Like the Hershey's cow. Mm-hmm. No, that checks out, of course.
You know, these references. That was my test for you. Iron Lady or Chocolate Cow?
Chocolate cow.
Chocolate cow.
There you go.
Wait, I'm really eager to get into the topic because I think it's a juicy one.
Yes. Okay, James, tell us what your topic is today and say a little bit about what makes it straight.
Okay, so I think it's conspiracy theories. I think gays are underrepresented in this is ridiculous, but in mainstream conspiracy culture.
Of course.
Off screen, off of the internet shows, sure, there's conspiracy theories everywhere you go that's gay because we're human beings.
Of course.
Share some fucking tendencies. And but when you're into like, oh, these are the conspiracy guys, there's not a well-known gay one.
Yeah.
So that's the short version.
Yeah, you're talking about like InfoWars,
yes,
like Alex Jones, whatever. Yeah, I mean, the stereotype, of course, is that gay guy conspiracy theory, or not to limit to gay guys, but gay conspiracy theories are all about they're all about celebrities. They're all about who's having an affair with who. They're all about
so true.
Oh, these two people on this TV show, there's actually lore that they are gay.
It's like gossip column things.
Exactly. It's gossip column and it's fan fiction. It's fan fiction, gossip column, projecting onto, Kate Winslet that she secretly has, hates Nicole Kidman or something. It's...
If Alex Jones had been gay, he would have been like, blind item, folks.
Yeah. Well, blind item, exactly. Like tabloids, blind items, like that is gay conspiracy theorizing.
Yeah.
Which
a certain operation that the initials are A and Q. Maybe funded by a certain organization. It's a 3-letter organization, and then 2 weeks later, he fills in what it means.
Yeah,
there's part of me that's like, why can't gay people think of more substantial conspiracy theories? Why? Let's have some confidence and be like, the election was rigged.
Well, because there's no glamour in politics, I really feel like, in the same way that straight guys really are obsessed with history and knowing how maps work, gay guys cannot care about that. There's something
history and maps.
No, we can't be promoting that stereotype.
No, I
can't.
But I just mean straight guys casually are obsessed with it.
Right.
It's specific gay people of course care about it, but straight guys on the standard are it's actually a really interesting battle.
Where you're the Gadsden Purchase would establish the border in southern United States and Mexico.
And so
straight guys fetishize facts famously. That's their favorite thing to do, is to learn one fact and then think it describes their entire worldview.
So I do think
the Treaty of Westphalia would establish the precedent for modern state of Germany.
Well, needless to say. And I think a conspiracy theory is just a contemporary version of that. And it's wanting to get ahead of the history story. Mm-hmm. It's kind of how I feel about it.
So it's fan fiction, writing your own.
Yeah.
I think all I want to do now that you said that gays don't do maps in history is all I want to do is cast you in I want to have a scene where there's it's the gay department in World War II, and they're well, we have to figure out how we're going to do D-Day. They've assigned it to us.
I mean, honestly, if someone was okay, we're going this is a problem. Sometimes I can't tell if things are because I'm gay or because I'm comedy brained.
Ah, good question. Which one is it? You have to compare you have to have control groups. You have to have unfunny gays and ungay funnies.
That is so true, though. Yes, Sam.
Because when I try to do something serious, if someone was Sam, you have to plan this battle, I would be fuck. I can't take, even if I were you guys, seriously, it's time to go to war. No one would take it seriously. It would sound funny. If they were you're cast as General whatever, and sure. I would be okay, guys, get serious because tomorrow we ride at dawn. It would never sound right.
But I'm telling you, there are so many. This is a tangent. there's like, for example, there's so many generals in the Civil War that were bad at what they did that you would be castable as that. As like,
where's their representation?
As like a George McClellan, like a general that doesn't know what he's doing. That's
Sure.
Guys, we're winning.
It is just so true that, I don't know, so many historical figures are so much dumber and more random than they are like written as in history books.
Right. When you're the actor, it's always like whatever the world is, where you're like, the history of this country rests in the hands of we few soldiers here today. And it's the Aaron
Sorkinization of history. It's like,
I like that.
Whoa.
It's literally like taking things that are completely, honestly, like random and based on so many sort of unpredictable everyday things, and then trying to make them into like a simple equation of like, these are the good guys, these are the bad guys. He was brave, he was a coward.
Right, they have to. You have to have not only good guys and bad guys. You have to be like, this was a good guy that was good at being a good guy. And
you know what I think? And this is a genuine. I think when, like, in a few generations, when people have no actual memory of Trump as a figure that lived on the same planet as them, I think he will be thought about as like an incredible mastermind. Like I think all of the whimsy and the humor of it will go away, and he will be thought of as this like crazy, power hungry.
Well, they'll literally say he's like a great orator. That's what they'll say.
That's what you say about. There's so many people in history where you can't verify it. Where they're like, he was known, like even the Romans. They're like known to be a great orator.
Yeah.
Show me the recording.
Play me a tape.
Yeah, of fucking what's his name? Cato the Elder. Thank you. Jesus Christ, what a stretch that was.
But even like Hitler, for example, was a complete like.
Hitler, for example.
Weird.
I know. Here we go.
Just by himself.
By
himself. That well, like Hitler, for example.
Like, okay, let's take Hitler. Okay, like he was such a sort of like insane, eccentric, weird, like person. He was like on speed all the time.
Very
like,
incel.
Very incel. Very like not obviously, like. Much like Trump, obviously, like a complete scourge on the whole world, but he wasn't some mastermind. He was just stupid enough to make it work somehow.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, Hitler is like what happens when you let some message board dork get in charge of everything.
Exactly, yeah.
Where it's, that like any message board, there's some guy who's going like, here's what my solution would be. And it's like, and something wrong.
Yeah.
And you put that guy in charge. And then, that's what he should have, there's always going to be somebody like that, but they're either going to be on a message board or in a dark corner of a library basement in Hitler's case.
It'll take me a while to get over. Well, let's take Hitler, for example.
I know.
That's a really tough one. That is funny.
I've never heard. I want what's the law where you lose the argument if you compare someone to.
If you bring up Hitler. Well, I was trying to think of
Is that Godwin's law?
I don't know.
I was trying to think of a parallel to Trump. Like, what's another famous historical villain who is
Rasputin?
Rasputin.
No, but I think Trump we might be in danger of people might, if he's not vilified enough appropriately. I think he's going to go through a Nixon phase where he's this cartoonish villain because Nixon resigned 6 years before I'm born, but he was still my whole life. Everyone, even to this day, it's the funniest thing.
Yeah, funny punchline.
It's like Futurama.
Yeah.
30 years later is doing plots about Richard Nixon. And I think Trump will be like that. He'll be like Nixon, where people will want to like relive how ridiculous it was.
Sure.
But then at a certain point, he'll be like a Teddy Roosevelt, where people are like, we don't even know if he's good or not because it's so far in the past.
Yeah, totally.
I mean, the way I feel that about so much of history, I'm like, yeah, it seems like it was on average pretty okay. Wait, okay, back to conspiracy theories.
True.
Hear me out.
I think there's evidence that they don't want us to get to the topic. That's why. It's iHeartRadio. It goes all the way to the top. It goes iHeartRadio.
I feel like straight people also like gay people are busy with like an active nightlife, and
True.
And I feel like straight people like are, you know, when they can't sleep and it's Saturday night, it's like, well, I guess I'll lose myself in the most deranged website I can find.
Sure. And you're going to read something that starts out with blue text font.
Yes.
And then it turns like orange. And there's like none of it is white or black text. It's always like colored text, paragraph by paragraph. And you're like, this is true. This is true.
Yeah.
I gotta send this to. Who could receive this information? Only the people I trust.
We need third spaces.
Also,
just no one.
Like, okay, so often conspiracy theories start with like, not to stereotype, but it's like, okay, things in my life aren't going well. Surely that can't be because of obvious things like, I don't know, socio-political trends like the economy, you know, the fact that I was born in a certain set of circumstances, the fact that I made or did not make an effort to do this or that thing. It must be something bigger because I inherently deserve more than I have. And I feel like, and that's where a lot of like deep state, big picture conspiracy theories potentially come from, or they come from just someone being bored, which is also pretty straight.
Right. And I'll make a distinction too, because to me there's rank. It's not, I get annoyed too when there's some kinds of like rational free thinkers that are like, that's a conspiracy theory, and there's like a button they press to make it go away. Totally. And it's like, well, no, there are some organizations that have secret budgets and assassinate people. Like, of course. And if you get the guy drunk enough, he'll admit it. But like, there's like, if anything involves aliens or Jews, like, you should know that's obviously wrong.
Okay, sorry, but I think you're taking the cake. I was the winner of Most Insane Things Said with Take Hitler, for example. And I think if anything involves aliens or Jews is actually the news.
Well, I'm trying to be like, those are the craziest conspiracy theories. I mean,
no, of course.
I'm putting them in quote. I guess well, take Hitler, for example.
Of course. Okay, the other thing with conspiracy, it's like this idea, okay, so much conspiracy theorizing boils down to like there's a shadowy cabal of people that control everything. Right. And that is, at face value, true.
Yes.
But then you have to like, you have to also approach it with like a thirst for actual evidence and with a sense of, and with like a foundation of basic knowledge about the world.
Yeah, it's not quite that simple. Like, they disagree with each other, and it's not like an ethnicity. It's like, oh, it's probably like 10,000 people. Yeah, like exactly, really rich, you know. That's 10,000 people. They disagree with each other, and they have meetings. They have public meetings where they go to like Davos and stuff. So it's like,
right, exactly.
It's not in like an underground layer under a mountain.
Nope.
Like, they're flying publicly and going there.
I mean, there is like the Hollywood element of this as well, where you're like sometimes it really feels like there's like people that like just pick, and then there's people that become super famous, and like how does this happen? And then you like actually see, like, if you're ever on the other side, you're like, oh no, it's just completely fucking crazy. Like, it's not like, or it doesn't feel to me anymore like there's like just like a few people you have to impress. Yeah.
Or you mean the people who have the gatekeepers, or the people
gatekeepers
who get it?
The gatekeepers.
Okay. Right.
Wait, so you're saying that's, so then what is the truth about the gatekeepers?
I think
that it's more random.
I think this is an interesting, like, Hollywood is a microcosm of like human society. There are gatekeepers,
yeah,
and there are people who like have like, oh, I have a blacklist, like these people will be shunned, or these people will be rewarded, but they don't have like, they're not gods. They don't have like total power. Like,
right.
There's like it's like a dragon sitting on a hoard of coins. And it's like, I'm a scary dragon. And it's like, you can go around. There's like other ways.
Yeah, there's other castles.
Yes, you can just go somewhere else.
Yeah.
There are gatekeepers, but you don't have to go through their gate, is what I mean.
Right, exactly.
And the gatekeepers can be like, every time, so many times that I've come into contact with someone that had like an immense amount of power, I was like, oh no, this is it? Like, it's just someone's nephew?
Yeah.
Like, it literally is just some guy that, you know, went to UPenn and knew someone and then like made a couple of right choices and was a little lucky and someone promoted him and now suddenly he is like 47 years old and literally it's his choice whether or not I can do something.
Right. And there's like two wolves inside of you as a performer where you're like, am I going to be angry about that? Or you could be like, well, yeah, that's just, he probably feels a little bit awkward about it too.
Yeah.
100%.
Totally.
This is so, I feel mixed about this, but I do think the older I get, the more I weirdly have, if not empathy, then something like, an ability to identify at least with people who find themselves in positions of power without necessarily being some Machiavellian genius. Yeah. And then it's like, well, I guess this is my life now. Like all day I have to basically like tell people I'm killing their dreams, but it's not my fault.
Right. And then you like Penn Station or The Prisoner with Patrick McGowan, you find yourself not even in a Machiavellian sense climbing up the ranks, but you just find yourself at now I'm in the next chapter of the story. Now I'm in the next act of the play. And you know a little bit more about how it works. The next level of video game. And you're like, oh, okay, I guess I'm here and I'm part of the panopticon.
And now I guess we're just going to be sort of doing the same thing, but with slightly higher stakes. And then that just keeps going every year forever. And you hope you end up somewhere okay.
That is a funnier and more interesting conspiracy for me, for whether it's like a superhero movie or like an Alan Moore comic book or something, is like a conspiracy of people who don't want to be there and don't really know what they're doing. That would be very, very interesting.
Yeah. Are there any conspiracies that you believe?
Yeah, sure. The basic ones. Yeah. Kennedy was killed by the government. So was his brother. And
this is so funny.
Do you believe we ever went on the moon?
Yes, we went on the moon. That's in the category that's ridiculous by almost design.
So does that does it fall under alien?
Aliens, Jews, moon.
That's alien.
Anything involving those things is too crazy to even consider. But like,
I see.
If it's like, yeah, I could see there's something to be gained. It's a known or shadowy organization that can't be audited. Like no one can verify. No one's allowed to look at their records. Like, yeah, okay, yeah. And then there's a lot of other evidence too. And I at this point, I'm like, I'm tired of it. I'm like, yeah, sure, all right. You get away with killing people sometimes. Oh well.
I mean, it
doesn't end like Columbo or Inspector Clouseau.
Sure.
It's like a lot of people get away with murders all over the place.
Well, of course. Why else would you do it if not to get away with it?
Right.
No one wants to do murder and then get caught.
Yeah, then it's like, why do the murder in the first place?
Hello.
That is pretty bold. That's like if you were like a competitive public murderer.
I have to say, before we started recording, you were like, maybe conspiracy theories, like that could be fun. And you were like, but I'm worried it'll get too dark. And I was like, no, it'll be fine. And then we have gone, well, consider Hitler. And then we've gone,
I knew it would not work. I knew this would not work. And yet there was no other better idea.
It's like, you ever find yourself like leaving your body and being like, oh no, this is a video of three men.
No, I'm literally having
podcasting studios talking about conspiracy theories, and you're like, oh no.
What? Where there's going to be a conspiracy theory about this? Is that what you mean?
No, like
I'm saying like this is such a classic. It's such a classic like Joe Rogan thing. It's like a decontextualized clip where it's like you being like, yeah, of course that was fake.
If you were going to be more like a typical straight conspiracy theory podcast,
sure.
Well, I'll be the guy. There would be one guy who the whole time is just looking at a screen.
Yeah.
No, I'm looking at it now, and it says that was publicly acknowledged during the Reagan administration, it turns out.
And then I would be the guy that just would go like, oh, yeah, haha, yeah, haha.
Yeah, you're the sidekick. You're the Robin Quivers.
Yeah, haha.
Yeah, I mean, and then you got to be vaping, and like you have, I don't know, you have hats that say truth or speech on them.
Yeah, and then I'm just like my thing is like I don't actually pay attention to the details, but I just want to bring it back to how trans people are bad. So like you're saying something about the moon landing, and I'm like, yeah, now now they're changing people's birth certificates.
Yeah.
Hold on, I see an evidence here. I'm pulling up Reddit. You know, it's authoritative.
Oh, God.
Wow. Well, I do think there's sort of what is it? You either die a hero or live long enough to become the villain. That's sort of what we, as podcasters talking about conspiracy theories,
we stepped in it pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Here's what I'll say about conspiracy theories. Something that is a bit gay. Two things that are a bit gay about conspiracy theories are, okay, one, you're telling yourself stories in order to live.
Well,
Classic.
needless to say,
you're doing world building, you are doing collective meaning making. Two, you're finding chosen family. I think a lot of people who are attracted to conspiracy theories feel very solitary or lonely, and this is a way of building community, which, you know, it's sort of their sports.
Right. Well, it's also that's what I mean about nightlife. If they had friends texting them every Friday and Saturday,
it's their nightlife.
They would be like, well, I don't have time to talk to my message board friends.
What about like a really like an after hours, like a club that caters to the conspiracy theory set, where it's like instead of like there's a dance floor, but there's just like weird statistics and books on tape being read, like the Warren Report.
Yes, and we need like, and of course there's a gaming corner
with a beat underneath it.
Well, of course.
Yeah, Alex Jones on the DJing and
you know how people will put like Alan Watts quotes over like dance music?
Yes. Yeah, there should be.
Like, you are something the whole universe is doing. That you could do that with Alex Jones.
Totally.
For the worst, this is the worst nightclub I can imagine.
I wouldn't want to go,
but
someone would.
But it would be. I would want to go once. I would want to go one time and film a few things.
Sure. You mentioned before that Alex Jones considers himself a performance artist, or
oh, well, that was his defense in one
That's
of his
his defense
trials, which I thought endlessly hilarious, where they pushed him on because he had to say he was performing in order to get away with saying libelous things.
Yeah.
And so he had to say his defense was that he was a performer, like a performance artist. That I'm essentially a performance artist, and because he was lying. He was lying to the judge, saying that those weren't his real opinions. That it was it's just I'm on stage. That's the defense. And I couldn't. I wanted that to be. I really wish that like a theater mask had come off, and he'd be like, I've been playing the Alex Jones character for 25 years. I learned from the greats. I was a graffiti artist back in the 1980s.
It's tough when you hear someone who you like really despise and think of as a bad person like have a similar vibe to you. Like George and I have actively been like, we believe this unless you don't like it, and then we're kidding.
No, it's true. Yeah. No, you're describing that. I'm like, that is basically our defense whenever we go out on a limb and say something that we're not sure about. Is like, yeah, we are like, none of it is serious, and we don't really, like, we're sort of working through our first draft thoughts.
Yeah.
And it's not meant to be set in stone, but unfortunately, because of the nature of
podcasting makes you think like these are your this goes into the Hall of Records.
Yeah.
And it'll be cited.
Oh,
in 3 or 4 years.
Maybe we before every episode we should have a disclaimer that's like, first of all, everything that we said is fake. We don't believe any of it, and if you cite this, you're a fucking pervert.
I like that you had right up until the end that was like good NPR voice.
Yeah.
You're listening to StraightioLab. A thought experiment. Some of these thoughts are works in progress.
Damn.
For more, go to our website.
I'm happy that you said I had NPR voice for a second, because that actually gives me the confidence that we were saying earlier that I couldn't be serious, and then I was like, maybe I could be NPR serious.
Well, I think NPR serious is the only path for a gay man to be serious. Yeah.
That's so funny to be the kind of person, and like it would be 10 or 20 years from now where you would make a career switch and you'd be like, Now, Senator, it's come out that you were subscribed to a number of OnlyFans accounts, and now you want to be a president. Is that still? Would you care to describe that any further?
Yes. Well, I am horny like any other person, and I'm a very sex positive presidential candidate.
Wow, Sam, you're winning Pennsylvania.
Now you're the candidate and you're winning. Good, you dodged that.
This is, this is a larger conversation, but okay. What is the correct level of gay voice someone can have in order to be a mainstream public figure that is relatable to all?
Wow.
You know what I mean?
You mean not to be too gay to be a public figure? Is that what you mean?
What's the balance?
Here's what I think. I think it's not about finding a happy medium. I think it's about either being full straight voice Pete Buttigieg, or you go full gay voice and that's part of it, and then women are like, ugh, you like, I love listening to your radio show, like I love watching you on like you go full in the other direction. I think where people lose the battle is when they try to split the difference.
Yes, I think that's genius.
You either have to be Jonathan Van Ness or Pete Buttigieg.
I never developed gay voice, and I didn't know when I was a child. I remember I cornered a hairdresser. It was like it was the first time I had a one-on-one with a gay adult. Because I was like, I had 30 minutes with getting a haircut. And I was like 12, so I was old enough to go get a haircut by myself, So I was getting a haircut, and I had no friends with me. And I was like, would you mind if I ask you a few questions about what I was like, you're gay, and like, yeah. He was like, yeah. And then I was such an innocent, stupid question that you could only ask as a 12-year-old. I was like, when did your voice become like that? And he was like,
so sweet.
He was like, oh well, it's just always that's how I talk, and maybe I hide it sometimes, but it's just that's the way I sound. And so I thought it would happen, and just never did.
Were you like, I'm gay, so this is coming from me, or you were like, I'm not gay because my voice doesn't sound like that?
It was when I realized that I was 12 when I pieced it together, because I knew what I liked and I knew what gay meant in like the news. So when I was 12 is when I was like, that's when, like, at the eye doctor, when the image like came into focus.
Sure. Wow.
And so I was like, and that was when I was like, buckle up. I am stuck. I am on a ride.
Yeah.
There's a special curse of not having gay voice, because if you don't read as gay, then it actually makes it more difficult for you.
Well, it depends on what I'm doing.
I guess it depends on what you're doing.
I mean, different contexts. It's just different. I mean, people don't know I'm gay, and that hurts sometimes, and it helps sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And I fucking have to blabber about it on stage, where I feel the most comfortable doing it.
And that's why your first special was named Butt Pirate.
It was almost that good. It was Low Hanging Fruit was my album 12 years ago.
Oh, well, that's genius.
That is good. You're good.
You're good.
You're good.
I release something every 12 years. It's always the year of the dragon.
Yeah.
Low Hanging Fruit was in 2012. And that's where my classic gay villains bit can be heard.
I was talking to a coworker and they brought up your gay villains bit.
Yeah, it was. It's almost been completely forgotten to link rot, but it was resurrected when we re-released that a couple years ago. And then it being the year of the dragon, here I am on the path of most resistance.
Wow.
Okay.
I like
do we have any final
chapter titles where someone be like, you could call him a low-hanging fruit, and he found himself on the path of most resistance.
Wow, I can't wait for 12 years from now for the next one.
What is the next
what's
part
the
of
next
the
one
story?
going to be? Let's see.
No, it'll be like the end. At the most resistance period.
Wait, I have a great one, James. If you release a special like when you're 80 years old, are you ready for this?
I would love this, yes.
Out to pasture.
I really want to enter. I'm just kind of treading water until I can fulfill two kinds of things in Hollywood, because right now I'm stuck in an audition. Cartoons, I get to do whatever I want, and nobody limits you. You can play like a ball of fire or whatever. But like on camera, I'm limited to playing like psychotic, weird, My Pillow straight assholes, or the sitcom things I get are always like, I'm middle-aged. Like, everyone's trying to remake Modern Family. So it's always like, I'm a middle-aged gay, and I don't obviously there's no sex, but I'm really uptight. And I'm like, I'm the opposite of this type I keep getting auditions for, where it's like, the one thing you should know about me is that I'm clean. And I'm like, I know I'm a complete mess, but no one makes those characters for sitcoms.
Yeah, but that's like, but you're always, it's like how smart people are best at playing dumb people. Like, you're always so good at playing the opposite because you know exactly how to access that.
Well, there's two types that I'm looking forward to aging into, which is arch. I can't wait to be an arch villain. If I can pull it off, I want to be like Goldfinger. I want to be.
Oh, that would be so good.
You'd be so good at that.
I would love it. I want to be like a Bond villain. I have a whole career about it. Like, like, you really think that you could come in here and talk to me that way? Please! More asparagus for Agent 007. That would be let's be honest, a great James Bond movie.
No, you'd be good at it.
The other character I really want to age into, is like just the older gay comedian who comes out wearing like a night robe.
Yeah.
I want to be on a stage full of pillows and spend 20 minutes at the top of the hour-long special, 20 minutes telling everybody to shut up. I want to see if I can do a 20-minute You have to be old though. Shut up, I don't have long.
Well, it's Joan. Like, why is it like there needs to be a gay guy, Joan Rivers? Like,
there was Rip Taylor.
That's true.
He always made me laugh. I know he had a short act, but I loved it. I've seen it several times filmed in different places, and I met him twice. Just being a young gay in West Hollywood. I saw him once, and I overheard him. The only thing I overheard him say was like, well, if we don't, we have to hurry or we'll be late for the show. And I was like, of course, that's like the random thing you hear Rip Taylor say walking down the street. And then I saw him again like 2 years later, and I'm like, this time I have to say something. You can't just have God put Rip Taylor in your life and you don't say something the second time. So I went up to him, and he was at Hamburger Habit, which I don't think still exists, across the street from the Motherlode and or the Abbey, and he was there, and I went up to him and I was like, Mr. Taylor, I am a big fan of your comedy, which was kind of an exaggeration, but what else? Yeah. I was like, I am a big fan of your comedy, and he goes, couldn't quite hear that.
Well, that's fun.
Wait, I actually have. This is my suggestion for who the like gay male Joan Rivers is. It's Isaac Mizrahi. It's literally like Isaac Mizrahi on the on QVC.
Sure.
Have you seen that clip of where he doesn't know what the moon is?
No.
What? This falls into a category of untrustworthy conspiracy.
Yeah.
It's like it. Oh, God, I wish I knew what it was. It was like, someone's like, what's bigger, the Earth or the moon? And he's like, the moon. I mean, it's huge. Well, I'll find a clip of what it actually is, and we'll put it here.
I love that color. That's such a happy, beautiful, rich experience.
It almost kind of looks like what the Earth looks like when you're a bazillion miles away from the planet Moon.
Yes, I just squinted at it.
From the moon, looking back at the Earth.
From the planet
Isn't the moon a star?
No, the moon is the planet, darling.
The sun is a star. Is the moon really a planet?
The moon is a planet.
Don't look at me like that. The sun is a star.
Planet.
Is the sun not a star?
I don't know what the sun is.
The sun is a star, isn't it?
We don't know what the sun is.
The sun is a star. The moon is not a planet. I knew it. You were trying to take me down that road.
Wait,
the moon is not a planet.
Chunky, if you're listening to me, you have to Google the moon.
I can guarantee you someone's Googling right now.
The moon
I
is
knew it was
such a
not
planet.
a planet.
I can't even stand it.
The moon is not a planet.
What else is it if it's not a planet?
It is not. I believe it's a star or something.
It's
it is not a
moon. It's a moon.
Didn't you do that thing in grade school where you had to name the planets, and there was Uranus and there was Saturn and the one with the rings and and then the Earth and with the moon is never in there, dude. It's not a planet. All right, here, look. This is key lime.
I don't know.
I
don't know
feel
what
like
it is besides.
sometimes,
What is
though,
it?
I am
Baseball or
educated.
something?
I exposed
What is
during
it,
the
cheese?
show.
Come on, it's a planet.
That this blonde of mine could be real.
Okay.
The moon is what?
A natural
the moon
satellite.
Is a natural
but
satellite.
things live on it.
What's
that means
mean?
it's a planet. I don't know.
Is that what Google said?
I don't know what
No,
it
I don't
says.
like that at all. I don't even know what that means.
It is so charming. And you're sort of like, yeah, like the emotional truth actually is that the moon is bigger than the Earth.
Well, I also think Nathan Lane falls into this category, even though he's not a comedian. But because one of my favorite pieces of media of the last year is him going on the
How Long Gone
podcast.
I don't know if I saw this.
He just like they're like two cool straight guys, like very casual, and he's like Nathan Lane, and they're like okay.
He like does not get what's happening.
He's like, they're like, okay, so like, what do you like on your sandwich? Like, what do you like on your? And he's like, what? Is this what this show is? You want me to talk about my sandwich? And like, like just not having fun with it in a way that I was addicted to. Because he also has to be there for an hour or whatever. It's so juicy. And then he's like being like really annoyed at everything. And then they're like, so tell us about the movie you're in. And then he's like, oh, it's amazing. And I'm like, that turn. He's like, now we're doing press. And it's like, it's been press the whole time, sweetie. I love that.
You want me to talk about the motion picture I'm in? Sure.
It's such a funny episode.
Okay, what's it called?
How Long Gone?
How Long Gone? Okay, I gotta see that.
Yeah, it's juicy.
Okay, do we have any final thoughts on conspiracy theories? I'm like, it's one of those topics that's so rich that I'm like, there's something obvious we're missing about what makes it straight.
Yeah, I think I did get self-conscious when we started getting into it.
Well, I think if you've cast yourself against the mainstream, a lot of these people have a chip on their shoulder where they haven't really, gays on TV, and it's like, well, there's actually not many of us if you count, and there's a lot more of us off TV where there's not as many gatekeepers. Like if you go to a comedy festival, there's like more gays than there are in the TV network shows. But I mean, if you've cast yourself in that thing where it's like they, and you start putting everything into like the they bucket.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, that's a good.
Us versus them. Us versus them.
Yeah.
No, it really is us versus them, and
you're less likely to know a large network of neighbors, in my opinion.
Exactly.
And if you do, it's people who've chosen like this is a hateful church, and we welcome people from all over this community to come here and be hateful.
Yeah, it's.
So I mean, I think there may be an in group and an out group thing where it's like people like me, and so I think they've taken over the narrative, and maybe they latch on to a couple of legitimate things that should be investigated or are troubling things about a fucked up country, a fucked up world. And
you know what else I think it might be like? I think the straight mentality has less patience for contradiction, and like it's like when they see that one thing and another thing can be true at the same time, the alarms go off and it's like, oh my God, hypocrisy, I have to expose it. Whereas I think growing up and feeling different in some way and understanding that not everything is going to work out for you the way it is sold, it almost gives you like a more open-minded view of like how a life could be and how a society could be.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
But you say coming up with the disappointment of being gay, for example?
Yeah, not only the disappointment, not disappointment, but like
setbacks.
If you're, and also just being like, okay, so the things that I was told everyone should have, I'm inherently not going to have some of them, but that's all. But that doesn't mean there's a conspiracy, or that doesn't mean that I'm doomed to die, or that doesn't mean that I'm doomed to be unhappy. It just means like I have to be on my feet and like figure out the best way to accommodate this imperfect world. Whereas if you don't deal with that early on, and then suddenly for the first time at age 27, you see that something is contradictory, you're like, well, I have to call the police.
Totally.
Up until this point, everything was by the book, going correct.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah. Like
totally,
it doesn't.
totally.
I think what it is like
It must be Satan.
exactly. Like it's like if you see a contradiction, it can't immediately break your brain. It has to be just like the first step of an inquiry, and then you're like, okay, so this doesn't quite add up. Let's see, what could it be? What are the three most likely explanations for it, and then how do we go from there? Whereas the conspiracy mind,
You're David Hume. The investigation
the conspiracy
of the
mind is like,
problem.
oh, I'm sensing something is wrong. It must be the cabal. It must be like something bigger that they're not telling
Well,
me.
I think what we really need is President Biden in his last stages of being president needs to come out and say, okay, here's everything that we've done. Here's where it's true. Here's the stuff that we've been up to over the last.
I think the strongest thing, because you know what, like the only legitimate thing that Trump wanted to do was to release all the Kennedy assassination documents, and he was thwarted. And that's literally the only good thing he wanted to do. The strongest move Biden could do would be like, oh, by the way, I'm gonna release all the. Come on, pal. We're going to release all those JFK docs.
Because if he was like, I'm being completely honest, now you can't say there's conspiracies because we told you everything.
We're going to let it all fly.
We need full.
That would be a really strong flex.
Because then it would be like, okay, now we don't have conspiracies because now we know which ones are true and which ones aren't.
It would be so incredible if they were just like, yeah, we're going to just open source all CIA and FBI files.
Okay.
It's okay, you guys, like enough is enough. Like here's everything.
They're literally like, I'm coming out as bad. I've been bad.
Or, literally be like, you could if they fight back at you, you'd be like, okay, anything before 1980 is open now and not classified.
Okay, I do think that should be the case. Because that's what happened with the Kennedy files, right? Like, I think basically after, let's say, 30 years, everything should be fair game.
Right, and I don't care if there's some old guy that doesn't want to be prosecuted for war crimes or murder. I'm sorry, that's not a good argument for keeping it secret.
It's not a good argument. And by the way, at that point, at least we've given him those 30 years of innocence, so he'll be persecuted
when he's
hiding. Like exactly. Like
he had 30 years to buy a house somewhere cool.
It's like now he's 87. Like, let's put him in jail for like 3 years.
Yeah,
but
I think that's a good compromise.
Why would you murder and want to get away with it?
Right. I always forget about that.
I do think we could make more of an effort of having gay-centric, queer-centered conspiracy theories. And let's be creative about it. Let's be it's a conspiracy that they disfavored gay sex in the last 2,000 years. Because 2,000 years ago, everyone was gay or bisexual, and now they're not. That's a conspiracy. It's a satanic corruption of the experience. We should be.
Well, I do
bisexual.
like the idea that I do like the idea that homophobia is not something naturally occurring in society. Like, it's not something that just like people inherently feel a little gross if they see two men kissing. I would love a conspiracy where like that was actually an idea that was planted specifically.
We have the documents. It goes back. It goes back to Richard Nixon. It goes back to the Nixon administration. We have the documents right here. Male sex is biologically always going to happen in every generation.
Yeah, they had to make it seem less hot.
Yeah,
because of population.
It's like how abortion was not like a huge.
It became an issue,
right? Yeah, it just like they just decided we're making this an issue specifically for evangelical and Catholic voters.
Yeah,
this is something that's happening on a local level in Los Angeles now. Is that they're making bike lanes, anti-bike lanes, is now a right-wing local issue in Los Angeles, where they're like, fuck these woke bike lanes, because they're just like, we need something else to talk about.
God, I hate it. Wait, should we do our final segment?
Yeah, yes. I wanted to say a classic gay conspiracy theory is the concept of industry plants.
Yeah. No, that's true.
So I just wanted to end on that amazing note. And now we can do our final segment.
What is an industry plant?
Like, people will be like, Sabrina Carpenter's an industry plant.
It's her success is not organic.
It's decided by the industry.
It's been decided.
Exactly. Like someone.
True.
at Virgin Records was like, this is going to be the next blonde girl, and everyone better fall in line, otherwise we are going to start assassinations.
And again, it's kind of narrowly true.
Well, yeah, there's
but it's
something
not
to
globally
it.
true, and no one has divine power.
Well, it also
It's
has to
literally-
take. It has to
is
take.
It does have to take. You're right, but I think that's the thing with like, you know, the musician Her.
Yeah, everyone says
Her?
she's an industry plant.
Everyone says she's an industry plant because it never actually took. None of us know anyone who in their free time listens to Her's music,
Right.
And yet she has fully egotted and is at every award show and is like, you know, I don't know, being given the Presidential Medal of Freedom.
But wouldn't an industry plant like want money? Like, wouldn't they want like someone? Like, if Her isn't making money, doesn't it always? Wouldn't they be like, well, we need a new industry plant that will actually make us more money? That's what confuses me about the industry plant conversation.
Wait,
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
that they would always need someone to play the role.
Well, if they're like industry planting this person Her, and then they're like, okay, so we've gotten her the Oscar, the Grammy, like we've done all this for her, but it's still not taking in a general audience. Like, we should probably fire her. And
Yeah,
get
it's
a
bad
new
for the industry
plant.
ultimately.
Oh.
They still want to make money.
They should Joe Biden her and be like,
Exactly.
let's
Yeah,
get
Joe Biden
let's
her.
get a better. We need a better plant in
We need
here.
a better plant.
Then they do that from time to time. And that's when they're like, well, they chewed him up and discarded him.
Sure.
That's what they did to Britney Spears. She was their plant for a while, and then they had enough of it, so they spit her out.
Yeah, maybe that's it. Maybe
Which is also true.
Maybe-
it's also true.
Okay, maybe it's that there are industry plants, but the people deciding never take into account how gay people get fanatic about stuff. So it's like they were like, we are going to take Britney Spears, make her our little puppet, and then discard her. But then gay people were like, no, we're going to keep her alive forever. Like, we're going to worship this woman till the day she is dead. And it was
Yeah.
never supposed to happen.
Right. She's shut down the system. She's too popular.
Yeah, and it's
Sparks flying.
Yeah, it's like they're resisting. They're resisting.
There's someone in the control center who's like, there's no way to stop her.
So that's my theory.
I do think that securing the full EGOT would be a fantastic Bond villain like goal.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
Oh, wait, that's great. There
The
should be a Bond.
Emmy, the Grammy, the Oscar, and the
Okay,
Tony.
there should be a
Mr.
Bond villain
Bonds.
that's literally like a crazed, like it's Katy
theater-
Perry finally lost it, and she's like, okay, well, you guys aren't going to buy my album? I'll fucking show you. And then by force, she wants
Yes.
to like get herself to EGOT.
It's Theater of Blood, the Vincent Price movie meets like Goldfinger, where it's
Yes.
like the Academy, if everyone is deceased in a tragic accident, the Oscar will go to the only member who survives.
Wait, James, this is
When I am in good standing, Mr. Bond, you'll never get away with it.
Wow.
wow.
I mean,
Da-na,
I'm in.
da-na.
And
I'm in.
actually, it needs to be. It can't be it can't be Katy Perry. It needs to be a gay man, like a sort of Elton John-esque gay man.
Yes.
But unlike Elton John, he never got the recognition he deserved, and he's seeing all these young girls.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just like. Just underappreciate. I mean, this is really. I'm writing my own story. Yes, he thought he was, and he was like the gay performer in the nightgown.
Yes.
He was like, shut up,
100%.
shut up, shut up, and didn't get the Tony.
And this
for
is
it.
the role you're going to age into. This is literally.
This is perfect.
This is.
Give me
this
10
is your.
Give me
Lydia
12
Tarr.
years.
12
Yeah.
years.
Give me 12 years. It'll might be my Lydia Tarr. Thank you.
Yeah, and it's gonna
What
be,
a
and it's
great
literally
honor.
gonna be called. And guess what? It's gonna be called Out to Pasture, and that's the name of the film. that you're
of the
gonna be in.
Bond movie.
Of the Bond movie.
Yeah.
Hey, so because the guy's name is Reginald Pasture.
Yeah.
Donna, and they're like pasture. He's
and
out
then-
to pasture.
Yeah, it's Sabrina Carpenter.
Yeah, his long-suffering best, woman best friend is like, Reg, I don't even recognize you anymore. And then you're going to
Ego. His ego is almost as large as his EGOT.
wow.
Wow.
I mean, I'm trying to come up with that. Would have to
Maybe
be
this is it. He has a Tony, so all he needs is an ego.
Oh.
That's what's
Wow.
missing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Or I have the ego, Mr. Bond.
All I
It's
need
the
is
Tony that I need, that I require.
Wow. It's a
Wow.
musical Bond movie.
I love, and there's some apparatus like in Moonraker where he's like climbing up 100-foot ladder. You know, I love that. Moonraker is not a good movie, but I love at the end of it that there's like he's climbing up the ladder to a rocket, being like, there's no way you can win, Mr. Bond. I've always wanted that phase of my career and grand plot to come
Well,
true.
I believe in it. I think it's coming.
Well, then that's a
Yeah,
conspiracy.
they open the envelope at the Oscars and it's a severed finger.
Dun-dun, dun-dun.
Okay, we have to do our final segment because we are keeping everyone at iHeart Studios in both coasts prisoners to our
shit.
grand plan of being gay podcasters.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Will Ferrell is out there being like, I can't believe they're taking this long.
Yeah, he really wants to get in here and get recording. Okay, our final segment is called Shoutouts. And James, in this segment, we pay homage to the grand straight tradition of the radio shoutout. We shout out a people, place, thing, idea, anything that we're enjoying in the style of, imagine it's 2001, you're at TRL shouting out to your squad back home. We always make them up. George and I will go first.
Sure.
George, I do have one.
Okay, go.
What's up, freaks, losers, and perverts around the globe? I want to give a huge shout out to the FKA Twigs song and video, Eusexua. I have been an FKA Twigs fan for a long, long time. This girl has it all, and I was a little bit worried about her in the last 5 years because she seemed like maybe didn't have it all. And then she popped back on the scene with Eusexua, and I am in absolute heaven. I have watched this music video, I want to say 20 times in the last week. I cannot get enough. I said, oh my God, it's 7 minutes long. Oh, brother. And then I said, that felt like 2 minutes. I want to watch it one more time. I want to watch it one more time. I want to watch it one more time. It's a song that shouldn't get stuck in your head, and yet it's stuck in my head. And it ends with a title card that's very Chromatica style, where it's like, Eusexua is a state of being, a state of higher presence, a state of humanity that is beyond that which we could ever conceive. And I was like, this girl is incredible. She is having so much fun. God, I love when people can really dance. Oh, and I just love, I love FKA Twigs. Shout out. Woo, woo.
When I first saw that it was called Eusexua, as though it was beamed into my brain without thinking, my first thought was, Eusexua, spit on that thing.
Unbelievable. Have you seen the video, George?
It's incredible.
Oh
It's
my
actually,
God.
it actually really reminds me of like peak Pitchfork era 2010s when a music video, sorry, not the peak, I understand peak Pitchfork era was before that, but I mean like that sort of like 2000s, 2010s era when music mattered.
Literally.
And when everything wasn't on Spotify, an artist would get 1/15 of a cent.
No, she's really got it. I'm addicted to her.
Okay, I'm trying to decide. All right, I'll go. What's up, cinephiles out there, Letterboxd users? It's your boy George, and I have to give a shout out to a film that I have known. This is a film since I was a teenager. I said, this is a movie for me, but somehow I resisted watching it for 20 full years. I don't know why. Maybe I thought it would be too meaningful if I watched it at an impressionable age, and I finally hit play on it last night, and that film is Paul Thomas Anderson's Punch Drunk Love, featuring a once-in-a-lifetime performance from Mr. Adam Sandler. And I would say, talk about a tour de farce, people. This is a absolute tour de farce on all levels. It made me so... Obviously, I loved it, but I know for a fact that I would have loved it even more when I was 13 years old, and it makes me so upset that I will never get to have that experience. I want to go back in time and watch it and have it define my vision of love for the rest of time. I want it to define my sense of humor. I want to relive a life where I'm quoting it constantly at parties, and now I'm merely a gay guy in my 30s who watched Punch Drunk Love for the first time. Is there anything more embarrassing than that? I invite you to brainstorm.
Well, I think
not.
I think I'm about to be the same guy. I've never seen it, and I'm gonna watch it.
You gotta watch it. It just, that Paul Thomas Anderson knows what he's doing, folks. And that's all I have to say about that. Thank you.
Wow, beautiful. James?
Anything?
Anything you want.
Okay, what's up? I want to get, hey, what's up, everybody? Shout out to Griffith Park. Urban Park, largest urban park in the country. We see you. We see you from as far away as Culver City. Thank you. We read your sign. You've gotten through heat wave season. You've gotten through fire season. It's fall season. We're about to be hiking. Yes, with shirts, without shirts, shirtless hiking. What up? We're in bloom soon. Toyon Canyon represent. Secret airship blimp landing pad in the back that's never used. What? We see you and we love you.
Woo!
Mount Hollywood, Mount Lee, the observatory. What's up? Stargazing, not just from the main telescopes inside of the cone, but junior scientists outside with their astronomy telescopes lining up. What's up? Statues of the great astronomers. Newton, what's up? Rocketeer, thank you. James Dean. Woo!
Wow, that was powerful. That actually got me excited for fall because, you know, as someone who's new here, I'm sort of like, what's the point?
You really... Los Angeles... is, you know, the kind of person who's so wise that it causes them physical pain?
Yes. Yeah.
Los Angeles is a place where it truly comes into bloom in the autumn. You've got to, of course you're Griffith Park, but you've really got to get out to the Trebek wilderness. Have you been?
Oh, no, I haven't.
Come to Brentwood, darling. Come to Brentwood. Look, there's a gate at the bottom of the hill. If you can get through it, come to Brentwood.
If you can get through it. Well,
Wow.
James, this has been such a treat. Thank you so much for doing the podcast.
Thank you. I feel like I had more fun here than the last year.
And
Well, thank
needed
God.
this in
And we
my
will
life.
see you in Brentwood.
And
but
we'll see you in
first,
Brentwood.
Please tell everyone where they can watch your special, Path of Most Resistance.
Path of Most Resistance is my first film stand-up special. It's available now on YouTube, streaming through 800 Pound Gorilla's YouTube page, and it's also on their website if you want to pay to watch it and download it. It's on 800poundgorilla.com. 800poundgorillamedia.com, maybe that's it. It's also on my website, jamesadomian.com, and you can listen to it or watch it many other places. You can listen to it as an album anywhere you would do that. Path of Most Resistance. It's going to be funny for about 2 or 3 more months. So, and then
Is it all really topical?
It's extremely dated.
Yeah. It's like, isn't July weird?
So listen to it now. Listen to it now, because in 2 or 3 months, it's not. You've missed the chance.
Yeah.
It's all about how Joe Biden is too old and should drop out. I think, right?
No, we gotta get Harris out and get that Biden back in.
Okay. Well, thanks again, and bye.
Thank you, James.
Bye, guys.
Bye.